All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're having a wonderful evening. I thought I was going to be going to the beach by now. I thought I would be chilling, getting ready for Monday, but yeah, we talked about either Black Monday or not. Yeah, we talked about either Black. That's me. And yeah, futures are down 5%. So S&P, NASDAQ, both of them have gapped down. The watch list is second link in the description. We talked a little bit about this week. We have a lot of things ahead, but over the weekend, the fear did not subside from Friday. Donald Trump, Scott Bessent, Mr. Lutnick, they all had opportunities to say some, but they really didn't. They kind of doubled down. Amongst other things, they're like, oil prices are good. Good. People like low oil. They like low oil. What do you want me to do? So, yeah, and I'm quite frankly, I do think there are things to be concerned about. Even then, everybody is working right now. I hope you guys realize that is Sunday. They have full segments right now. Bloomberg, CNBC, Wall Street did not take a break, man. So everybody is looking at this right now. It's very, very wild. Even coming into tomorrow, it's going to be crazy. And quite frankly, this is why I'm live right now. This is the closest you have been to a circuit breaker since COVID. I'm telling you, again, you just at one point you hit down 5%. Then we have moved our way down to like 3.7. Now you're at 4. But literally, futures opened up about 17 minutes ago. So we have a long night ahead of us. This could go in either direction. You may hear from China. Again, we got to hear over the weekend from Taiwan. You heard of the Vietnam on Friday. But again, this uncertainty and how the market is feeling, quite frankly, it's pretty heavy, and it's funny because at the same time now, the market is looking for a Trump put. Literally, even then, go right now, everybody that is talking about it, the people going to work already, I'm sure you're going to hear it tomorrow. Any other time, and this, I swear I just heard this guy talking about it, any other time the market has gotten this bad this fast, or hypothetically, if we do get a circuit breaker, the Fed should be stepping in. I know that may sound wild, but at the end of the day, I can almost assure you this now. After this open on the futures this week, you are going to hear people talk about rate cuts. And now we're going to really see the game of chicken because everybody, I'm telling you, they're already, market has not even gone ding, ding, ding on Monday, and you are already hearing about rate cuts. I'm sure you're going to hear it everywhere. Like I told you on the watch list, all the criteria have low-key already been met. So when it's all said and done now, let's see what Powell and the Fed do, because what if they say no? So maybe they do emergency cuts, maybe they don't, maybe they step in, but at the end of the day, what if they don't? That's something you have to think about right now, because if Powell really wants to hold his ground, and if Trump really wants to hold his ground, then who says that they have to? So like I'm saying, just like in this whole sense of the tariffs are really bad and it's not good if everyone retaliates. It's easy if they don't. But then again, if they do, like we saw with China, then we could kind of have a problem there. So we'll see where it all plays out. But at the end of the day, you are having a volatile week so far. And to come back here, man, it still is Sunday, but maybe the odds of Black Monday are closer than we think now, because again, like I said, we might have a limit down right now, so we'll find out. But bonds barely move. TLT is in play. Okay, I feel bad because I'm biased and I have a shit ton of them, but at the end of the day, the bonds are still lagging right now. So, but that's the play, because again, the Fed could either step in or not. But no matter what, there is a circumstance where bonds stay down, but in the midst of this level of fear, I don't think it warrants the bonds haven't moved. It's the cheapest volatility play. So yeah, I think it's a good gamble for the next 2 weeks. I'm willing to do that. But good evening. How are you, man? Are you guys ready or what? Good evening. You're prepared. You'll be fine. We'll be good. And then again, at least you didn't have like an annoying YouTuber telling you to buy stocks for the last 3 months. Unless you had a shit ton of cash. And even then, if you went little by little, you should have a good portion ready to go. So let's see. Tomorrow might be a day to buy. Let me put it this way. If tomorrow is like a glitch, like if tomorrow is like stupendously bad and you're down like 20% or something ridiculous, like, you know what I'm saying? You should buy one thing minimum, because that will be unusual. But if it's kind of like the last couple of days where it's like a slow move down a couple percent, then that's gonna, you got to kind of a la carte, and then we'll see how everyone's feeling. But I think by tomorrow, if we do hold another 5 to 7% sell off, I do think we're gonna get a lot of opportunity to buy some stuff. But even then, now in a weird way, there's two opportunities. So the market is insane right now. Shit is starting to crack. But when it comes down to when to buy, you have two options. You either have a name that you already like at an extremely low price, and if it hits, you buy it. Otherwise, you wait until the policy pivot. At this point, everything is going to just go crazy until somebody pivots now. Do you understand? VIX is insane. Mother effers are going to be talking emergency cuts. Everybody is going gung-ho on whatever their policy is. The next signal is going to be when somebody pivots. Do you guys understand? I don't know. I think I've showed you guys before. I might be able to show you guys again. Do you guys remember? This is an old person movie. You got to be an old guy to understand this one. But you're in a game of chicken. I hope you guys understand that. This is like I told you, it's a high stakes game of chicken. Hold on, let me see if I can see it. Why can't you find this? Oh, I can't. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Are you ready for this? So, this is now the market. Are you ready? No, for real, because, and I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. I think it's very actionable. I think it's very helpful, because if you are looking now, because like I'm saying, this is almost peak fear. People saying this looks like COVID. You're going to have people talking rate cuts and all sorts of things. Like, this is huge, bro. Again, from the rates to the reaction now. But when it's all said and done, it's who's going to pivot first. Is it going to be market, Powell, or is it going to be Trump? So, again, whether that be a rate cut, whether Trump and Bessent start talking nice. Again, I think they will when the rates hit a certain low. Dude, TLT's barely down. This is crazy. You're close to a limit down, and TLT hasn't reacted. However, that is kind of common. Again, I do think Powell will sprinkle some on TLT or not, but I hope you guys understand the point there is that now at this point we are playing a high-stakes game of chicken. So here is the scene.
Ready?
This is High School High. This is viewer discretion. Oh, whoa. What is this? Is this PG-13? Is this right? Whoa, come on. But that's what's going on right now. Because like I said on the watch list, the market, it's funny. I was like giggling because people were saying that the Trump put at the low end would be the SPY at 5,000. So most analysts were figuring that if you took the SPX, we were at a high of 6,100. They thought if you got down to 5,000 flat at that was like the lowest estimate. A lot were at 5,200. They were like, Trump will capitulate. You're at 5,074. Futures are now at 4,900, 100 points below that. And Trump, Bessent, nobody has capitulated yet. So this is where I think the market now, there's a real threat to respond to, the tariffs, the negotiations, how high everything is. But now the market is trying to find a point to make somebody capitulate. Like, this is crazy. Again, you were just down 5%, and hopefully you guys see it. It's only down 3.8 right now, but whole point is we're going to see if there actually is a Trump or Powell put in all of this. Do you think he blinks? I don't think Trump will blink, but I do think Powell might step in at worst case scenario. When it has happened before, Powell usually steps in. And that's what kind of people are going to be talking about at some point. I mean, unless Powell wants to do something differently. But, I mean, if another set of conditions are met, usually the Fed always reacts. So it has to be either the Fed or the market. Or, again, maybe data comes in or there's good news. I really think at this point, and I said this on the watch list, I hope I told you guys it's a bomb. I don't know. I hope I don't know what other analogy is comparable to a bomb. So I hope you guys were familiar with it. But I mean, at this point, I don't think the market's going to pull back until it really sees something, again, a policy pivot, because it's not going to be data or anything there. But the answer is going to be probably Powell. Or again, if they're, or like I was saying though, I was losing my train of thought. China, that's going to be the big deal. China, European Union's another big part, but when it's all said and done, everything came in hotter. It was a bomb, but we've already heard some good negotiations, and that's going to create different room for negotiations. But I think China's the answer with all of this. And like I was saying, it's like it's one thing. There's been a lot of talk about Canada and Mexico, but I said this literally Thursday and Friday. I was like, man, what Trump did to China, he didn't talk loud to them. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't hit them with little jokes. But he was aggressive, really aggressive towards China, and they were aggressive right back. And I don't think people have realized the scope that I think, once again, we're repeating China-U.S., and it's at a huge scale, but I think a lot of the drama and attention is turned to the other countries, but that's the real impact of everything here. So what I'm saying is that some negotiations will be really good, but if China does walk it back, then we'll be good to go. And we should have known this too. You guys remember just a couple days ago last week, right when Trump started talking China agriculture tariffs? We should have known. And that might be it. That might be your final big escalatory event from Trump, and then we'll see. But at this point, this is part of the market. Again, I do think this is the market responding. And over, long story short, you had all the drama last week. You had the tariffs, very shockingly high rate. It has to come down, otherwise global trade will be restructured forever. And then now Trump and everybody over the weekend, nobody made a move. They did not react. So now we go through this week, we get the CPI, and then we see how everybody takes this, bro. Limit up. We haven't hit limit down yet. So at 1.4832, you were down about 5.3, I think was the max so far, or maybe just 5. But yeah, we're down 5%. I'll get back to the emails by Monday, by tomorrow. Don't worry, baby. We got you. Are you going broke tomorrow? Your long term's going to take a beating. We talked about it even last week. Even Friday was a beat down. I was only up by I was $1,000 higher than where I started the beginning of the year. So tomorrow we're going to go negative, I think, alongside everybody else. Remember, same boat, baby, same boat. So we'll see. Feels like the song viral. Oh, man. Well, we'll see, man. If we get deflation, I'd be worried about that. And that's what I was trying to explain. I put it on the watch list. I even explained this to my girlfriend and anybody because everybody's interested now all of a sudden. Copper futures are down more than 8%. But long story short, I still believe what I was telling everybody in the beginning. This is why I told you, I wouldn't really be buying a car for more money just because tariffs, and if somebody's trying to charge you more money for tariffs, I wouldn't do that. And really, I do think if there was an increase, there will be a small increase in prices, and then it will go down. Either by a natural way of how tariffs and inflation works, and it doesn't impact, money supply, and especially if the deficit goes down, that's one way. The other way is demand destruction. It's hard landing. Yes. And that's where I was like, damn, because I don't know why people aren't getting this, and in a weird way, don't let the market hide that. The market is responding massively right now. And all of a sudden, people are talking recession and hard landing odds. I just showed you guys that chart last week. At one point, not too long ago, and people would ask me, some people would ask me in a snarky way, they're like, do you still think there is going to be a hard landing? I have been a big proponent of a hard landing just because of things like the yield curve and what we did and the weird rate cuts and all of that. But long story short, that's why we've also learned you stay diversified, and hard landing didn't mean we had to run to the hills, what we did with balance and value was perfect. And holding cash at the right time as well, too. But now this idea of a hard landing, it has kind of came back in vogue. And this was just last week. The odds now, people were saying 50%. That was before the last 48 hours, before Friday. And today, the odds were at 50%. So now people are talking about it. But this is essentially the bad way to bring prices down. This is why, if you're asking me, you're like, do you really think Trump tariffs won't make higher prices? Well, yeah, this is exactly why. because I think there will be a small one-time price increase, but if stocks go down, the wealth effect, if real estate comes down, gas will be cheaper, which will be great for some people, but I hope you get where I'm saying here is that it's a bad way to bring prices down. It would be prices coming down through a recession. So, but again, I'm not worried about inflation. I mean, just in an economic way. And I hope you understand this to be a better consumer, better trader, and even kind of understand the midterm, long-term direction of the market here. Tariffs especially at a wicked, rate of from 100 years ago. And again, you have to acknowledge that it's a very, very high rate, and that's why it's like so shocking. But at their end, you take them to their end, tariffs are deflationary. So don't let anybody tell you they're inflationary. That is kind of something that can happen in certain areas for a certain amount of time, but this is the real risk, and this is the one I'm worried about. That's why if you ask, this is what I was just telling you guys on the watch list not too long ago. If you asked me, am I worried about Donald Trump's tariffs causing inflation? No, I'm worried about them causing demand destruction. That I could agree with, and that's now kind of what we're getting. This was another chart from the watch list, but again, when they had the Great Depression and the tariffs and all of that, the markets and the whole world had a really, really big impact, and that has to relate to demand. And this is what I'm saying. And here's even the Fed too. This is why not only is the market calling for it, but even in tariffs, they end up lowering rates. That's the whole point. So this chart even tells you exactly what I'm saying, because if you overlay the last round of tariffs that you could compare this to 100 years ago, 1920s to 1930s, the market and things got affected. But when you had that level of tariffs, the Fed was lowering rates. Why? Because they had to, because tariffs are deflationary. So that is the real worry that you should be worried about right now. I would not be worried about inflation. And that's why I'm telling you, I would definitely not go buy something you don't need and pay more money because of a tariff. Again, this is the worry even for markets and real scarring of the economy and consumer sentiment, is that because you would have to go and you would be way better off if you held that money. And again, prices came down, you had that deflation, but that's kind of the idea here, I think, until something changes. So here's the deal. This is what I'm telling you. This is where I think the markets are going to have to digest it, depending on the negotiations or not. At face value, if nothing changes, you have to really be prepared for a damn restructuring of the whole entire global economy. Because this is insane. So, and again, this is what I mean by the bomb. That's why I go ahead, be cute and all, try to figure it out. You should prepare for the future as best as you can. But again, if it does change, then this could disappear as quickly as it came. But long story short, tariffs are deflationary, even at this level and even as history has shown. And again, because if it was inflationary, they don't cut rates if it's inflationary. So don't ever forget that. Because again, that's why you will be better off being more cautious with your money rather than buying it if you're spending it if you don't need it because you're worried about that tariff impact. The only worry is the stuff you need goes up, like food and all that. That's the only stuff that you can't be, price sensitive to, more or less. But then that's why it's weird. That's why Trump isn't caving. I hope you guys realize that. Because even then, like, oil is down. So even Scott Besson over the weekend, they asked him about all of this, and he said oil is down. He said, what do you think the average American $60 oil, that's good for them. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's that's going to be the weird part, and it's half of this. You don't know what's going to stay or not, but be prepared if it does stay or stays longer than anticipated. And clearly the market's going to try to get something in the meantime, but at face value, this is kind of it's leading into every possibility of either a hard landing or not. I do still think Trump can pull it off, but at this point now, like we're saying, if this holds up, you're going to have to deal with the prospects of a very, very different financial outlook, unfortunately. So get ready for all of it, baby. But you're still holding, hold on, Futures down 4.1, 4,900. Real estate should do decent, believe it or not. But eventually, if there is like real demand destruction, deflation, real estate will come down. I don't think too much, but I do think a more healthier decline. That could also depend on jobs and the deficit, or by the time this is the weird part. If not by the time, but if this really translates to like the economy, we'll see. But right now, this is sentiment. That's what I'm saying. Like in a weird way. You're watching the market react. You're watching prices change in certain things, but this isn't necessarily hitting the economy yet. But that's why some people are talking about it. And this is what I said on the watch list. The weird part is that this week, the tariffs actually come into play. So after April 9th, literally any imports are going to have that higher amount charged to them. So we'll see if anybody caves in the meantime. But then after that, we'll see if that really changes people's plans. People have saying we're not going to order, we're going to stop ordering. Do you guys want like a black swan tinfoil? Or should I save it for when futures aren't down 4%? Or is this a good time? Does that make sense? Do you want me to tell you when futures are up, or should I tell you now? You know what I want. You know what I came here for. All right, well, there's kind of the theory that then people are like, okay, companies are halting shipments, right? So in an odd way, it could be like a strike or a wait. Call it what you want. But if everybody thinks that these tariffs are going to come down and then they halt their activity, you may watch a lot. If you get a certain amount of people who shut down their trade and imports and exports until they wait on a negotiated rate, yeah, you might borderline get a manufactured stopping of global trade. That's the black swan tinfoil. So not by force, but by choice. That's the funny part. So you're going to have some companies and other suppliers, they're going to, and again, buyers and sellers choose to say, okay, we think it's going to come down, so we're going to halt our activity till X date. But in a weird way, if enough people do that and everybody does it, you might watch everybody kind of just shut down the global supply chain by choice. Again, not by force. So yeah, that's the black swan to watch for from here on out. So we'll see. We will see. But at the end of the day, if a big country caves, we'll have something good. If European Union, if they don't or maybe they'll announce Boeing tariffs this week and then they'll walk it back if we come to a deal. But if we could get a good deal with China, a good deal with Europe, that's it. And like I said, I really think if the bonds come down low enough, Trump, Bessent, and Lutnick, they're going to start talking nice again. And I think, and that's all it will take. But until you get now a real, like I'm saying, a real pivot, the market is in the direction of fear. And now we do need to watch out. Like I'm saying, the real key is demand destruction. Regardless, that's what's going to matter. That's what's going to leave a scar on the economy. That's what will impact earnings when we come look at the market June, July, August. It's going to be about this demand destruction or not. That's going to be the difference between Powell being able to fix this or not, or a pivot or not. So until then, wait for the policy pivot. But now you are in peak volatility, and the market now is it is given into tantrum/fear, and some part rightfully so, bro. That's why all of this is. There's a lot going on now, man. It started with overreaction, a little bit of sentiment, not a lot of data. Now Trump comes in heavy. Now the market's moving. It thinks it's going to have a tantrum or a put somewhere. Then it overshoots it. Now things aren't getting better, but then they could get better with the stroke of a pen. It's all going to be crazy. So I hope you guys are ready for it. But yeah, in the meantime, unless the futures, this is what sucks because futures gap down 4, but do you guys not remember what happened Thursday coming into Friday? Do you not? I don't know if y'all get it. I don't know if you guys remember what happened. This is what sucks about it all. This is why it's crazy that we're down 4%, even hit 5% at one point. But yeah, we got to talk about it. What do you think it is? TLT should be up a lot more now. Granted, I'm biased, but that's the only play that out of any volatility play, TLT is like assuming you're going to get stagflation. But at this point, I mean, if people are talking pivots and all of that, I think we might be past that to the point where I'm shocked there isn't a rush to treasuries. Yeah, well, that's the thing. The yen is going crazy. That's where I'm starting to feel like eventually, if the yen goes crazy enough, you're gonna see the same thing with the bonds. Yeah, the China stuff. That was what happened Thursday leading into Friday, and that's why I'm saying it's weird that we're like down 4 now because Thursday, Friday. Do you guys not remember we were live at night? And we were live, and then we went to bed. The futures barely moved. It wasn't until like late at night that again China retaliated, and then the futures started plummeting. Because I went to bed, I was like, all right, things weren't that bad, and then we woke up, and then it was a shit show. So you got to watch out for that because now you're making a move, but genuinely, I mean, how many times? Like I'm saying, if you have any good. Maybe Trump and then wait till right before with a good news or some good comment, or we get more bad news. But by the time we open up, it'll probably be a lot worse. The Funky Bunch. Oh, man. I mean, I think you're going to hear. I want to see what the Funky Bunch have fed. Let's see which one of them starts talking rate cuts. But that's probably what you're going to hear this week from all of them. Rate cuts, or not, or avoiding that question. But I mean, at this point, the VIX, the fear, this is fast, bro. This is 15% down in what, about 3 days, I believe, 5% a day. So in a weird way, I'm surprised we haven't had some sort of circuit breaker. But then again, this time, this is sometimes more damaging. Well, people there, you guys kept tagging me. I was telling you on Friday, I think somebody blew up, and there was all those articles about. Like record gold liquidations, or somebody had to liquidate gold to cover a margin call. But yeah, I do think I think the move, it's kind of wild now. Again, another 5%, because like 5% shouldn't kill you, but then you wake up the next day, now you're down 10%. Like that shouldn't kill you, but now you're down another 5%. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, man, 5%. I will be broken by the end of 2 weeks. Like to everybody. Do you get what I'm saying? Like that's kind of and you have to like, I don't think that will happen, but at the end of the day now, this got really, really quick. And that's what I'm saying. There's make no mistake. This is why I don't know. I hope my analogy was accurate. I was like, this is a bomb. Right away, I was my first reaction, I was like, damn, this is a bomb. And that's what I'm saying. You could try to figure out the calculations. You could do whatever you want, but I would run. That's a bomb. That's it. I'm not playing that game. That's why you should go now. Get to your protection, find a way, and then we'll see whether or not this is just a bluff or if it actually blows up. So at this point now, I mean, again, it's a weird mix of market sentiment, overreaction, underreaction. Potential for this to all go away, but then if it doesn't, this is the biggest thing you have seen in over 100 years. That's what I'm saying. Like it's such a weird. Now the combinations have narrowed, but they have much more dire consequences. But like I'm saying there, in general, the first set of combinations we were looking for, all bets were off when he rolled out the bomb. And again, like I'm saying, the average tariff rate, back to 1929. And when it's all said and done, like this came in, some people had a higher baseline, but if it stays up here, this is going to be disastrous. But if it comes down, then it's a whole nother conversation. That's what I'm saying. Like if the tariff rates come down, everybody negotiates, and then we finally get, the positive trade deal stuff like we saw in Trump 1.0, and everybody, you know what I'm saying? You stroll off into the sunset, then we're going to be fine, and you'll look back at this level of fear. But if everybody wants to see if Trump is not fucking around, then yeah, we'll find out. Then it'll get really bad. So either way, buckle up, baby. Woo! Smoot Hawley, bro. Yeah, so you're not at the 1800s yet. But like I'm saying, this chart doesn't even matter. All that matters is with China. I think it's very subtle, and everybody is kind of like missing that. And yeah, some other countries came in, but they already caved so easily. All that matters, yes, Canada and Mexico, they come into play because Canada and Mexico equals one China, if you didn't know, deficit-wise. But then again, China's still very important. But I think all of this is like China in that rate could change everything. So if you could work a good deal with China and then everybody else reciprocals, I don't really even think they matter that much. But I think China will bring down a lot of things, and that will ease us. And then assuming you don't have a bad deal with Canada and Mexico. But yeah, it'll be good. The TOT plays will be good, but they should be I mean, hey, I will buy more if there's an opportunity tomorrow. So I bought some crazy ones. I bought some of the cheap ones. There's some plays that are only a penny. But if they still exist tomorrow, I might add more. I want to see what people say. Then again, though, if the good news comes out while we're sleeping and then all bets are off for like an emergency rate cut or more drama, then that play's not going to work. Like I said, I think it's a short window. I would be eyeing TLT right now, and I already have a ton, but it's lagging. This is crazy. I've never seen this level, and I was saying this already on the watch list even before the futures open. That's why I wanted to put out the watch list before that. So again, I think a lot of this you could have saw coming to a degree, but I like the TLT play, and I think that any other moment, and anybody here even from 2018, bro, any other time we have seen volatility this high, TLT has always moved at this point. And that's why I said that was what pretty much last week, Thursday, Friday, it was VIX. It was VIX in bonds, and we were looking at it and we were saying, okay, so it's either bonds or VIX is lying. Maybe the bond market's not believing, then VIX went. And that hit 40. That hit the emergency rate cut level. Though I had 40 calls on Friday. We bought them for pennies. I had hundreds of them. That's what I'm saying. It was insane. But now it all boils down to bonds. Because if we're really got fear, if they're really talking Fed policy, any pivot, they step in now. That's where we're gonna be in business. So I still think as long as it's lagging behind, like I'm saying, bro, why is like yen is moving more than the long end of the curve? I think every currency, every single one, even crypto. So right now, as long as at some point, I think someone's trying to keep TLT down, the vigilantes. But at the end of the day, though, too, it might even just turn into a squeeze because this is crazy. Or this ends. This is all overreaction because that is another possibility. If you don't want to be a fucking crackhead conspiracist theorist like me and assume too much, because assumptions kill, Reacher said, and details matter. But what I will tell you is that bonds are just telling you this is bullshit. It's one or the other. That's it. That's what I believe. And I think that's worth a really decent play in the short run with this level extreme in the market that we have never witnessed. So that's why I think TLT for a little bit is a golden play right now, just for a little. And I hope you hear me out either direction. It's either TLT or the market. It's either the market comes down or the bonds rip. That's it. The bonds are either saying this is bullshit or they're going to react last at the blowout once fucking Fed policy pivots. So, yeah. God bless America. And that I love stand beside her and long time with the turn and save more from the mountains to the new lows to the new highs with Trump. No, you guys don't. Are you happy you voted for this? I am once the bonds move. But yeah, I hope you have a good day. Any questions? I'm sorry, I've just been ranting, but I hope that makes sense. So yeah, TLT. If that's kind of the weird part right now is that it's still low. Even then, it's only up 1% while the SPY is down 5%. This should be, again, so yeah, I'm going to be looking at more of them tomorrow, but I already have a lot. But I'm going to really see if the cheap insurance on fire plays. I sold my HYG. Fuck, I should have kept that. That one would have hit. But I told you that one at perfect time, too. I told you about HYG before the biggest drop since 2020. That's when we got that play. So, woohoo! Shout out to Watchlist. But yeah, we've had some good ones. Some very, very good plays. But I'm excited. It's going to be wild, though. So strap in, lock in, and good luck. You didn't listen? Oh, the whole restaurant's listening? Well, tell them get a long-term still. Do not be afraid. And bonds should make a big move soon, or the market should bounce. If the bonds don't, we'll find out. I think it's going to be fascinating. I think this is one of the TLT plays. I think there's a shot right now. So I already let you know right now and back before. It's simple as that. 2 weeks. I think pretty much in the next 2 weeks somebody pivots or not. But yeah, I think it's worth it for a small risk. But if you get blown out, that's your fault. Like I said, I didn't tell everybody the exact play. I don't want you to blame me. And that's what sucks because TLT during volatility, it has a little window and then it fades. So it's easy to get stuck, and I don't want any new people to get trapped. And I have a lot of it already. So we'll see. I'll give you an update on the premiums, but I hope you hear what I'm saying. It's either the market bounces and TLT does not work, or TLT is screaming that it's going to move last. And then if the market keeps having this tantrum and volatility, again, I mean, most pathways lead to bonds going lower. They have to. Otherwise, even then, unless you show me the evidence of the stagflation completely, the path should be lower first until we see that it's not. 300. You could even do damage with less than that if we actually, again, that's kind of the crazy part. They haven't moved. Every other play has already popped off. Every UVXY has gone 1,000%. Every other play we've made was already up 500, 1,000%. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm like, the only volatility plays that really haven't moved is bonds and TLT. That's it. That's the only one. Where are they? Well, and TLT, it has done this before. The other, like, in 2019, it did kind of lag, but yeah, some of them did go crazy, but like in general, I don't think any UVXY, any SPY put, any short SOXS, any SOXS, anything you can imagine has not moved like these TLTs, where they're this cheap still. That's the crazy part. So I think that's why they'll let TLT move after this expiration, but I'm shocked. But then again, this is what Trump and people have been making a point of. The bonds have been high, the yields have been high. Trump and Besson have commented on yields coming lower, or commented on oil coming down and affecting people. And like I said, I think once the yields come down, Trump will be happy. But I'm shocked that, and I think this shows the market this is more of a market tantrum to me rather than fear, because why did the market just flash crash with TLT not fucking, with bonds not moving? It doesn't make any sense. So that's why, and to a certain degree, I lean more that, yeah, Trump's tariffs are bad. They're scary and big. But when it's all said and done, you can't, like, some part of this is more tantrum than it is actual legitimacy. Otherwise, the bonds, how come people are not rushing into there? How come people don't believe that Powell then is going to cut rates? How come people are not, even tariffs are deflationary and lead to rate cuts? So why don't? So that's why I'm saying this is the one that's lagging for now. But the crazy part is usually, I mean, I've never seen a lag this big with the SPY down 15% in 3 days. That you don't even see that. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen the SPY down 5% 3 days in a row. But yeah, that's why I'm like, it's shocking that bonds are not moving with it. So that's either an opportunity or it's not going to move at all. So yeah, so we'll see. But that's your opportunity. You either call it, take your bet, or go home. Ta-da! Yeah, flash crash with no move on bonds is wicked. That means it's either bullshit and we're going to bounce up with one good thought, or it just gets really terrible. And then that's it. The bonds only react when Powell fucking halts the market one day and cuts the rates, and then that's it. So yeah, we'll see. You think I'm being too nice to Trump? I don't give a fuck. That's not what we're talking about. I think I've given the really quality information, and I don't think I rejected anything that was objective. Because when I knew it was bad, I told you it was bad. So good luck and be on your way. Thank you. Thank you. And I have a lot of bond plays. So shout out to bonds. You concur with Josh? I concur. I concur with your concurrent of being in concurrent with me. Appreciate you. Amen. I hope you're inspired. That's a good thing to be. That's it, man. I thought I was going to be walking on the beach right now. But no, future's down. I don't have to do shit, man. I just want the TLT to hit. That's all. I think we're going to get some other plays, but all you got to do is be on the lookout tomorrow for the actual negotiations. Again, I think we're going to hear from UK and Boeing, but yeah, all that matters, I think, at this point. Does it develop into a SPY put, Trump put, Powell put? Do the bonds react? What do we get? Let's see. I forgot. Everybody's working. Bro, they're doing full like news segments right now. You guys know that? Everybody. Nobody took a break coming into Sunday. Come on, CNBC. Let me see which one we got. But yeah, if you have any other questions, let me know. I have bond puts too. I have both. So because I hit a set of TLT on Friday, and then I took profits, and then I double dipped because again, I don't know why the bonds are held down. They let them pop overnight, and then they sell it intraday. Every morning, I sell my calls on TLT. I take 100%, and I buy them back cheaper by the end of the day, and then the next day they pop. I did that 3 days in a row. So that's what I'm doing, again, just now crazily. But yeah, I bought both on the dip because then it dropped, and then I bought the puts as well. How do you know? I don't know. Well, all I know is that there's a wide gap between bonds and equities. Like I'm saying, most instances, I have never seen the level of fear that has led to a 15% decline in 3 days not move the bond market a third of it, that move. Why aren't the bonds up 5? Why isn't TLT up 5% higher? That's crazy. So that means it's either this move is fake and the bonds are big money bonds are saying no, or they're going to react later, or the bounce, this is it, and then we bounce, and then maybe the bonds are right. Well, the odds, I don't know if Powell's going to emergency cut. I really don't know. That's what I even said on the watch list because the data is good. Jobs data is high still. So it's hard to justify any sort of cut, especially when the data is better. That's it. Your sentiment's bad, but your hard data is good. Why are you cutting? So, but the other criterias are there for him to cut. And then usually, again, anytime the market has gotten this bad and things get altered this fast, and again, if we get a credit crisis or someone blows up, usually that's when the Fed steps in. So, but at the end of I just think you've moved to, that's why I'm shocked the bonds are still barely moving, because we've moved so much now where every day and every couple percent lower, the odds and probability of like Fed intervention go higher. So yeah, we'll see. How you play? Why no play? Why they take a commercial break? But the next one, oh yeah, that's what you heard right away. But even then, like I'm saying, the fear is bad, and just like I said, the tariffs, if they don't get negotiated, this is one of the biggest changes in 100 years. And last time there was very negative reactions. You got to prepare for that. If they go lower, great. We're gonna fucking rip crazily, and everyone's gonna be. Some will get caught offside, some won't. But leading into now this week, the question is: do we get the negotiations? Do people panic? Do they call bluffs? Was anybody bluffing? And then does the market go down? And then does Powell call it quits before that? So we'll see. Yeah, man. Ugly Monday ahead for China. China was closed over the weekend, I think.
Rejecting the view that a trade war will trigger a recession and defending the new tariffs as necessary.
I need to get water. I'll be right back.
All of this hiding despite the massive sell-off that we've seen in the U.S. We're talking about the S&P 500, of course, seeing its worst day since March 2020. And you can see U.S. futures pointing to the downside of more than 4%. The Nasdaq 100 already in bear market territory. Now futures losing about 5%. The S&P 500 lost $5.4 trillion in market value in just 2 sessions. And right now, signs really showing a potential for more of that sell-off continuing in the Asian session, with futures trading to the downside. Fed Chair Powell continuing to say that he won't rush to react to the financial market turmoil or to the Trump tariffs. We can see, of course, that despite these words, we have seen the sell-off and the safe haven moves continue. The Japanese yen has strengthened. Take a look at how we're setting up for the Asia session, because we're talking about the Japanese currency now at the strongest levels since October in about 6 months. The Nikkei also has fallen to the lowest level since August, and you can see Nikkei futures pointing to the downside of almost 4%. Sydney futures also more than 4%. We'll continue to watch that bond market rally. We saw treasuries rallying. JGBs have rallied throughout the past week. We'll be watching the offshore yuan. 729 is the level right now, but we're talking about the weakest level since February, and they're coming back from a long weekend. They're also coming back after Beijing retaliated to U.S. tariffs. Here in South Korea, where I am, the Kospi is at the lowest level since February. And what a time to be here in South Korea, where we're launching our new studio, Heidi, because we have so much to cover, especially when it comes to U.S. tariffs. Of course, South Korea is a bellwether when it comes to global trade, and we have so many idiosyncratic news as well to cover. We just talked about how President Yoon Suk-yeol was ousted by the Constitutional Court. We'll see the ramifications as we head towards another presidential election.
As you say, idiosyncratic when it comes to some of those domestic challenges, and there are plentiful of those domestic challenges when it comes to each of these economies, but the common theme, of course, is how all of these economies, central banks, governments are really contending with the global impact and potentially recessionary and stagflationary impact of these Trump.
All right, so I don't know. I won't stay too long because we're just waiting for somebody to talk. That's it. You're just waiting for a negotiation. You're waiting for either Trump, Powell, Bessent, Lutnick, or any of these major countries affected to talk. Yeah, that's it, man. Now, we'll kick it for a little bit, but at this point, as long as it doesn't go below 5, that opening was crazy. By the time I was setting up the stream, it was down 3, then it went down 4, then it hit 5, and then I was like, oh my gosh, this is the closest you've been to a limit down in a while. So we'll see. What else we got? Is there any questions? Or any of you, do you have any questions about the market, a shopping list? I want a diamond, man. I don't know. In a weird way, if we get like anything crazy, I want like an Amazon at like a really low price, but I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too excited. But we'll see. We'll see. And then we'll see if the bonds, your email, no time for emails right now. But if you have a question I could answer in the chat, I could do that for sure. The next tick down will be, I think unemployment, people are going to panic. Again, that narrative around jobs. Like I said it, a lot of this stuff, I've always been a hard landing believer. But once that non-farm payrolls goes negative, I think you'll definitely feel a shift at that point. And that will tell you about the Fed and Powell and all of that. But even then, I do think if Trump and Bessent and everybody, I think they're going to hold their ground this week. It all depends on the negotiations, but I think now the ball is in the court of Powell and the market. Let's see, because now, again, people are going to be calling for it. Wait, what is it? Is this live? They're saying Trump team rejects market fears.
Even amid, as Bloomberg Economics estimates, some pretty high stagflation and downside risks. Now, importantly, we should note that President Trump has signaled some sort of willingness to strike a deal. He said that he would need to see something phenomenal, in his words, in order to make a deal happen. Remains to be seen what he would characterize exactly.
But yeah, if we get any comments from somebody, that will be it. But it's booming. It's booming. It'll boom. But yeah, I think it's going to be up to Powell in the market, because people are going to be calling for, they're saying Powell can't not respond. But then again, if he does and it's light, then we're on our own. And then we'll find out. You do have CPI this week. So unfortunately, you have CPI and consumer sentiment. And so far this year, consumer sentiment has had a bigger reaction than CPI. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know if Trump's I think the market's trying to get rate cuts. I think Trump wants lower bonds, but none of those two things have happened yet. I mean, you haven't got rate cuts in the bonds. I mean, it's kind of crazy when you look at it. You know, you had this big of a drop, but then you only got a very, very small move in TLT. When was the last time? Yeah, I mean, so again, last time you went, 70 points down? You know, just as a gauge, you know, anytime you've dropped 70 points, TLT has usually had, you know, that was a 50-point drop. TLT went from, 134 to 144, went up $14. Oh, I guess you kind of got it. If you really want to count that, but you got like $12, even though it doubled. So, 2008, we can go back to 2008. That time you did have TLT stay down, or no, TLT did rocket with the market. It chilled for a little bit, but even then, I think 09, but that was after they intervened. So that's the thing. After they intervene, TLT will calm down. That's kind of the whole point. But right now, nobody's stepped in. That's kind of what we are waiting for. But now there is that opportunity. That's why I'm saying TLT is worth a gamble until now the market is boiled to the point where it's either Fed intervention or not. And then, yeah, or policy pivot. So, yeah, it's worth it. My girl does have a long term, yeah. She asked me a lot of questions. She's asking me what to buy now, too. I'm sure everybody asked you about the market. People are paying attention all of a sudden. The stock market's a big topic. Big topic. Don't worry, it'll be good. Low gas. Go fill up your car. I did that one. You'll enjoy it. Fill up the car. Fill it up. Look at that. Thank God. You don't have to drive a Prius. You don't have to drive an EV, even though Elon, he makes a good American one. Down 4.88. Where are we at? 4.7. You are slowly ticking down. I think the next one, man. So China's even going to open up soon. What time is it? 4? Oh, wait. We got like another hour or two. Damn. So we're mad early. I was just excited. That's why I went live. That's it. We just went live. So, yeah, there's still a lot of time. There's a fuck ton of time, you guys. Actually, I'm telling you, it's going to be so different by the time we wake up. You're either going to have a limit down by wake up or you're going to be up like 2.5%. So that's the other statistic. So do you guys know that every time the VIX has closed above 45, the next day you have rallied 2%. So that's where you've closed. So we'll see. But at this point, everybody's like doubling down, bro. But yeah, we're going to find out. But China still has like a couple of hours to open up. Circuit breakers is just like a halt when the market moves too big. They halt the trading so people don't panic. And then if we go down, I think 15 or 20, they just close the market for the day. Oh, yeah, where is Bitcoin? It might be crashed. But this is what I was telling y'all, man. I don't know because Bitcoin's down at 8. But remember, it wasn't moving on Friday. And everybody was like, that means this. Trump not making China deal unless we solve trade deficit. Is that coming out now? Hot dog. Oh, wait, you guys don't have the wire up? I thought I did have the wire up. I was trying to show you the picture. That one didn't even show up on there. I would just keep your Truth Social open. But yeah, Bitcoin is down 8. But that's what I was saying on Friday, like it was holding up, but everybody was kind of jumping to conclusions. I said it means something. It's going to have a big move, though, because it barely moved on Friday. So now we'll see if it outperforms or not. Well, yeah, I don't think, like I said, I think the ball is in. I already heard people. I'm telling you, people are already working. Everybody's looking at this. Yeah, that Trump headline's hitting right now, but it's just like they're calling on Powell now. So Powell found a way to avoid all of this, but for now. But now I do think, like I'm saying, you've already closed even above 40 on the VIX. So, and then, like I'm telling you, any other time sentiment has gotten this bad, because, like, you could just cause serious damage to the market. Remember, the market could throw a tantrum if Trump really doesn't give a fuck and isn't going to step in, eventually it's going to be between Powell and the market, and now people are calling for that. I already heard it, so watch. I already started this video. I think you're going to spend all week talking about rate cuts because the damage is so bad now. That's it. It was another 5%. We're about to look at it. You're down 4.7 right now. So this is ES futures here. I'll put NASDAQ in the top left. Those are down 5.8 right now. Bitcoin's down 8. Bonds are up only 0.7. Why are they moving a tenth of everything? So yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. It's kind of crazy. I don't even know, bro. This still doesn't add up. Does not make any fucking sense. The bond move, and then some of the currencies aren't even like, the dollar's up 1%. Yeah, Mexico's like 0.5. And yeah, like Canada's barely moving. Euro's starting to go. Strike revert. It's bond vigilantes. I think they're selling. I think they're shorting the market and shorting bonds instead of buying bonds or doing other things. It's reverse. I think someone already blew up from Friday, or there was some other bigger stuff. But it still doesn't make sense. Or they're trying to get Powell to cave. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think this whole video I've talked about bonds already, but it doesn't make any sense. So either way, you have a big move in store, and it's already 4.8. All week, though, we're going to hear about this. And rates and Powell and Trump. Trump not intentionally engineering a market sell-off.
So we've seen markets to some extent.
Yeah, these comments are coming in now.
Impacts might
so
be.
Literally, Trump is talking.
That doesn't mean that the markets have gone as far as they can, because the real world impacts will then create a feedback circle once they start to happen.
We're seeing the Aussie 3 yields extending that slide now. The Haven bid just continues, right? And are we just kind of seeing the standouts continue to be treasuries, yen, gold?
Yeah, where is gold?
Certainly the yen, possibly treasuries, but treasuries have that
gold is down again,
hanging over them that the logical response, I hesitate somewhat to use the term logical, but some economists have pointed out, if the tariff policies do indeed
this is the defense to why bonds aren't up.
Logically, the administration, especially if the Fed is going to remain on the sidelines because of concerns about inflation, the administration should move to ease fiscal policy, i.e., go ahead with the tax cuts, and in particular maybe go ahead with them without worrying too much.
Sometimes you have to take medicine.
Immediately meeting them with spending cuts. The economy looks like it's slowing because of the tariffs. Well, one way to fight against that is by boosting spending. Boosting spending would mean more treasuries being sold. That could be a negative for treasuries, along with the situation if the Fed really does say, no, we're not going to cut rates until we're sure
it's bouncing off of that,
tariffs has passed.
So we'll see. Not these comments, but Trump right now, he's making comments somewhere. You see the headlines there, a few of them in the chat, but nothing major yet. Again, he's still broad conclusions, still holding the stance. He's not changing anything. Like we're waiting for the pivot. The only person, again, everyone, I don't know when you're going to hear from Powell next, but I'm sure you're going to hear calls to hear from Powell, and then we'll see. But yeah, gold is down. Gold's barely down, but Bitcoin, that's whopped. My goodness. 469 on SPY, 55 on NASDAQ. Head on a swivel. It sucks. You're going to be sleeping. I'm telling you. Because we have to wait for the China Open. That's the other part. So China's going to open up. And then Europe's going to open up. And then after that, that's it. We'll see what... We'll wait till those guys start making comments. Like I'm telling you, this week they're going to go after Boeing. We already had a couple of clues there. Or they don't. Maybe they come to a deal. But literally by the time you wake up, a lot of other markets are going to start moving. And then we'll see. And then you already heard Trump right there. We'll see what Lutnick say, Besant and Lesant, and then everybody else. So we'll see. Is this live? Norel Rubino?
It's going to lead to a full-scale trade war.
No, old.
Chinese assets coming back from a long weekend.
Yeah. Sleep fast. Well, either way, I think at this point, you either already have your plays or not. I mean, you guys have been seeing it. Intraday, it's insane to play. I think there's still going to be a lot of volatility both ways, but I think bonds are the only thing. Even keep an eye on oil and commodities, maybe Bitcoin, but yeah, well, China, they've been doing bad, not as bad. They held up a little bit better, but we'll see. Remember, they retaliated on Friday. Don't forget that. And that's, I think China-U.S. is the big story. It's other places are getting the attention, but I've said it a couple times so far this video. That is a very, very big thing. So a lot will hinge on that. It's crazy for a Sunday. This is not, again, people were talking Black Monday or bounce, but futures opened up and it's still been pretty bad, and this uncertainty and fear, it has not been resolved over the weekend. So remember, you had all the lead up into Liberation Day. You had Liberation Day. And the tariffs go into place on April 9th. But then that fear from over the weekend did not get resolved. People were saying Trump better walk it back or everyone's going to halt shipping. He didn't walk it back. Besant didn't walk it back. The market selling off. Even then, even with the bond, it's a tantrum until the bonds go up or until anything happens. But at this point now, I mean, you've already done it, guys. I hope you realize at this point, the market is moved in ways that we have not seen in a long time, let alone in these are historical moves. If you have not been aware of that, if you are not aware of the bomb, I hope you are at this point. But now we've already moved to a point where we're waiting on Powell, the Fed, the market, policy, and yeah, it's gonna be a wild week, baby. That's why we're live on a Sunday evening. I think they're already. I think they're contemplating the cut right now. They have to be. That's it. Because right now we're flirting with a limit. We're flirting with a limit down for no reason. This is offensive. Why are we getting a COVID-like move without COVID? Why is there a threat of the economy shutting down without any threat? So unfortunately, the Senate, like I talked about, like in 1929 down to 2001. This is a sentiment destroyer for no absolute reason, and although I may disagree with what caused it, Trump's plan didn't help, but it doesn't matter. Like I told you, there's a fucking bomb. So at this point though, it's just like your sentiment has destroyed a lot. Now you could leave a scar on the economy no matter what happens just by causing a big sell-off. So I think they're talking about it now. If we get a limit down, I think Powell and Besant, they're talking at least. I think that's your best lifeline right now is that Besant and Powell are communicating with each other. Maybe not now, but maybe in a couple of hours. But that's your only hope right now at this point. Those are your two level-headed guys because you got to realize if Besant could get Powell to cave and Powell cuts rates, you could ease a lot of pressure, but it doesn't change the fact that the tariff rate could be potentially destructive still too. I hope you understand that. But yeah, so I think they have to be talking about it now. This is 15% in 3 days. You don't see this too often, ever at all. So yeah, but we'll find out. It would give you a balance, but then it might fucking fade. Because what happens if it's not enough? If he cuts rates but not enough, and then they spike up, the rates spike, and then people short it again because they're like, no, that's not enough, and then they're like, he's panicking, and then they sell it off again. That's a tantrum. Again, that's what I'm saying. If you get too bad with sentiment, that's what you risk running into, is that your actions stop working. Don't believe me? Ask China. That's what happened. Remember, there was a point where China used to do something, and boom, with stimulus, it would rally. So, we're stepping in, they would love it. But then there was also a time in China where they would announce stuff and people were like, nah, fuck that. They wouldn't do it. And they wouldn't react. And that's what you want to avoid. But if sentiment sours too much, then we'll see. But yeah, like I said, back to the beginning of the video, we are just playing a wild game of chicken right now. How much could TLT move? It depends on the size of the rate cut. But I think if they did move via the means of a rate cut, TLT would move a lot because an emergency rate cut would mean they're panicking. But if they didn't take the rates to zero, TLT would have a limited impact. It would move, but it wouldn't go as high as it went to when rates went down to zero. I hope, obviously. Bitcoin is down. Bitcoin's hitting a new low on futures right now, down 839. NASDAQ futures hit 6 on the comments. They're down 5.5 now. SPY's down about 4.67 on futures. That Shane Gillis clip makes more sense. I told you, bro. It's wild. But then again, everyone's going to get brought down. We'll see how the other markets play out because, again, there was a couple of winners still. But we still, again, even through the announcement on Friday, the point is the market's moving big and aggressive, but the negotiations are moving slow. I don't know if you guys realized. That's why you heard Cambodia, you heard Vietnam, Taiwan now, but UK's like, we'll respond next week. The EU's like, we'll respond next week. So they're going slow. Yeah, S&P futures are down by 4.55 right now. NASDAQ is down 5.3. Bitcoin is down 8.2. And bond futures are only up by 0.5%, a little more. Your buy zone. Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. I think at this point you have two options for your long term, and even if you want to generally like have windows as a trader. And I don't know. Do you want me to tell you? Because if I tell you this and then fucking once in a lifetime shit happens, you're going to get mad at me if I'm not perfect. You'll be like, you influenced me, Joshua. You influenced me. Why did you say that? Why did you fucking listen? I didn't fucking get a long term. Just save. Be patient. I don't know. So do you want me to tell you or not? I already said it, but I can reiterate it. I believe it. It's what I believe deep down in my soul. And that's why you got to make up your mind. I think it could be helpful, but you blame me. How about you? Why you influence me? Oh. So, I'll leave your fate in your hands. It's your choice. It's your life, big dog. Influence. Push it. I'm down, bro. Let's go. I said hard landing a long time ago. I know. So, like I said, your two choices for deploying capital. You either have specific stocks that you want at a certain price, like your favorites, just like that's it. That's the one. You say that's it, right there. And then you start nibbling, or you wait till the pivot. That's it. You wait till somebody pivots, either Powell or Trump policy pivot. That's when things will reverse. Even gold will reverse, and a lot of things will change from there. But that's it. So figure out what stocks you want, at what price, and kind of where you could start moving a little bit. But other than that, you wait till they pivot because, again, Trump is doubling down. But like I'm saying, if Powell starts to change and other things, that's when you'll know. Or, again, if Trump starts to calm down, then that'll be it. I like Amazon. That's what I'm saying. I like Amazon. I do like NVIDIA, but I think Amazon, like its PE, is hit a certain level that's attractive, but I think you could get Amazon a lot cheaper. I think you could get Amazon $70 cheaper. And if it hits there, that's what I'm saying, though. But, like, you have to be ready for either a slow burn down or, and again, all of this with one good comment. One good deal could be wiped away. Now should be a good time to tell you guys that. Because while futures are down, don't forget, if you didn't trade War 1.0, it would get really, really bad. And then all of a sudden, there was something called a trade deal. And right now, things are bad and people are really dramatic and you don't feel how good it is. But they're going to fucking love a trade deal when a good one comes your way. So make no mistake. All of this can, in fact, be walked back. Is this historical? Is this massive? Yes, you can't ignore that right here, right now. But just keep in mind that, you know, that's why I'm like, yeah, you could watch prices, you could have low price targets, but the moment there's like a good deal and this does really get reversed, though, some of these dreams may be dashed of really, really low prices. So watch out, okay? But other than that, you either wait till the pivot or you pick your specific names, but then be prepared because If we wake up and there's just like a stupid 10, 15% sell-off and some of these names just take a ridiculous sell, you might just be able to profit off of that, and those could be some entries. So watch out for that, but make up your mind now, and I think if you do that, I think you will be a lot better off than if you did not. In a half hour, Robinhood opens up trading. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, even then, futures, I can't believe this. It's already crazy. Some assets more than others, but Trump has already made his comments, and he's tripled down this whole weekend. They've had so many opportunities to walk this back, and they didn't. They tripled down, doubled down in every opportunity. That's why I think the futures are down as well, but we'll see if Powell has anything to say about it. And then the other countries. I mean, either way, it's going to, if you don't have, what is this? Trump launching tariffs on April 9 is a mistake, says Ackman. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what people don't realize, because ironically enough, the tariffs come into play this week. Do you guys understand that? So all of this announcement, crazy numbers, all of our reaction, but the tariffs come into play on the 9th. So all these people saying they're going to halt trading, we're going to find out in like 3 days. So, yeah. But then again, the bonds need to be gapping up. This doesn't make any sense. But that's the play. I might buy bonds every hour until Powell comes out or until they say no. But I'm betting on the bonds. I think they have to hit at this point. Or it's bullshit, and then we're going to rip up 10% on the SPY in 2 days. So I am going to start. I do have SPY calls too. That's what I'm buying, SPY calls and SPY and TLT calls. That's it. Call it a day. I am going to be throwing in random shorts if we could find some good ones. We already hit the UVXY, but TLT should be reacting as a volatility play. I have a play on gold too. I think gold will go higher. I think this little gold coming down is just a result of the sentiment volatility, but I do think eventually gold, until there's a pivot, gold should rocket up. Maybe that's when bonds go up too. VIX puts, I don't know. I like the VIX calls, sadly, a little bit more than that, but they're, again, we hit 2 different sets of those. They're already up a lot. The watch list is on the other channel. Second link. It's on this description. Betting on answers. Let's take it, baby. There was a watch list. Yeah, we talked about this. I put it out like an hour before futures opened up. But then this future opening was just too big. So I said, all right, we'll go live. Again, futures are down on gold too. Everything right now is about 4%, 5% on the NASDAQ. It was down 6% at max. So it's going to be a good day tomorrow. It's going to be wild. I don't know. I mean, it's leaning towards Black Monday. Like I said on Thursday when China retaliated, that caused a lot, but like we were sleeping. So like long story short, like what if China doubles down? What if Trump doubles down on China? That could make things worse, or it could make things better if we get something positive. Trump already just talked like 30 minutes ago, maybe a little bit less than that, and markets went lower. We kind of bounced like 0.5% since then, but yeah, so I think anything could happen. This is the closest we've been to a limit down. At one point, SPY was down 5%. So, like I'm saying, since COVID, this was the closest we have been to a limit down. And I think by this evening, China hasn't even opened up yet. So right now, we are talking, we are live. Futures are down, and Asia has not necessarily opened up. I think Australia and a couple of other places are trading right now, and there's some currency moves, but generally. And again, I do think China is very important to this, but they are not opened up, which is kind of crazy. So, yeah. Well, if Asia is bad, that could affect some things. But then again, just like, don't make no mistake, like, we're looking for escalation or not, or walking it back. So there's some good places that had deals like Taiwan, but like if China doubles down and throws on tariffs, we're going to have a problem. If they walk it back, that's going to be good. If we hear Europe, again, if von der Leyen down to anything related to Boeing, or again, if they target Apple, because right now we're looking vulnerable, but now everybody's kind of getting dragged into it. But this is, again, if we're playing a game of chicken and now like if you see blood, like everybody should either be striking or walking back very, very shortly. So that's what we are watching for next. That's all I was saying. All that matters is comments, and then we heard Trump. That wasn't good enough. We'll see. But at this point, this is all sentiment, fear-driven. Like I'm saying, it's either Powell comes out. I think Powell's the only one that could save you at this point, but we'll see if there's any other negotiations that can change it, and that's what we will be looking out for. China opens in like an hour, I think. 6:30 or 6? Oh, no, hour and a half. Maybe 2 hours. So you got some time. It's the beginning, but it could all end with a tweet. It could. This could end with a tweet or get a lot worse. He tweets out he's hitting China again. We're fucked again. He tweets out China made a deal. Then we're great. Ta-da. Japan would be a big one too, but I think at this point EU and China, but make no mistake, it's all about China. Like I'm saying, there is some other stuff that's concerning and other countries involved, but I don't think people are realizing how important China is, and this is an attack on China and China hitting us, and they're the big one. That's like the important one, and I think although Trump this time around hasn't been loud about China, his actions towards China and the EU are massive. And that's so I think EU or China, those two things, but mainly China, that's going to be a really, really, really important thing moving forward. TSM for the long term, maybe, but like I said, I think if some of these names, I like high quality, I like Airbnb, I like Amazon, like name, again, think about it, we got Meta. I want like a blue chip ass name for dirt cheap. So if they get cheap enough, I'll buy it. Otherwise, if we do get a policy pivot, I'm going to just start going back to my original list and then buying, some of the names that I've been looking at that have good value. But again, we've been saving our cash for this moment. But like I said, I think by June, you'll know the answer. By June, we're going to either get way better deals, or by June, that's it. The deals are over, and then we're going to start turning around. I think June, July, you'll have that answer. I like Google, but I like Amazon more. But if Google could come down a lot more, I need them at I want 2020 prices. So yeah, like I'm saying, I need a lot more, but then again, I mean, we might be at that point. I might stay till China open. I did want to go to the beach and go for a walk, but and then we started slipping, and then every time I say that, it goes up. So I don't know. Gold broke 3K. I know somebody's getting worked. Even bonds, bro. Look, bonds are gonna go negative at 1.2. That'll be funny. Like I'm saying, very, very wild stuff going on, but another day of history. What if Powell doesn't do an emergency cut? Then the market will go a lot lower. That's it. Then the market's going to keep. That's what I'm saying. Until the market realizes no one's coming into play, it might have to figure out a level then, if that's going to be the reality. So that's what, again, we're playing a wild game of chicken. And then we'll see how it gets moved by the negotiations and who stays, who doesn't, all of that. Walk on the beach is more important. I feel you. I did it yesterday too. I did. That's it. It was a great day. Great. I got a little tan this weekend, man. It's beautiful. What if Powell says nah? Well, that's good, but that's it. Just everyone plays with fire. It's kind of like it's like you could let the kid throw a tantrum, but like if the kid knocks over a candle and lights a fire, like that's fucked. So that's kind of it. Like pretty much market could throw a tantrum, go as low as you want, as fast as you want, but just don't break anything serious. That's all. So Powell can let the market just keep ravaging about, but just the risk is that you end up damaging something or causing a lot of damage, and then that's the not good thing about it all. So you're gonna open up at like 490 tomorrow. It's crazy. Yeah, gold dumped. Futures 385 on SPY. NASDAQ 4.7. Bonds 0.6. Oil down 3.6. Bitcoin down 759. Wow. We back. Oh, welcome. Welcome, Dracoon. Welcome, Peaches. How you guys living? Are you guys doing good? Are you feeling good? I hope you are. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm in a coat. Hey, happy Auntie Days. So how you guys feel? What do you think? Do you think, let me ask you this, by the time you wake up, do you think you're going to bounce, or do you think it's going to be Black Friday? Do you think bounce or limit down? Call it in the air. Call it in the air. Huh? Call it in the air. You know what I'm saying? Call it in the air. Call it. Limit down this. Oh, Japan has data coming out. Not sure. Little baby bounce. 50-50. Poll, please. Monday's in 2 days. Monday's in a couple of hours, dude. That's it. We have to go to bed early. So you better go get some good sleepy, especially if you're on East Coast. Black Friday, down, small bounce, then drop. Limit down. Everybody playing with fire. Margin call Monday. Pump fake. Get your rest tonight, Chad. Bounce to 5,100. Bill Ackman, Trump launching tariffs is a mistake. Will not be a seller in a declining market. Tariffs impact Nike 3-year call options representing 1.5%. He has 1.5% of his portfolio on call options. Warns to market losses if market clashes. And then Trump, China surplus unsustainable. Spoken to EU leaders. Wait, is this live? Or is this part of the old one? I don't know if this is old or not. Because Trump spoke a little bit ago. China trade surplus unsustainable. Spoken to EU. Nah, this is old. Asian later on tariffs. Uncertain on market outlook. Yeah, that's old. They're reiterating it again. I didn't know Bill Ackman 1.5% of his portfolio. No. 1.5% is on Nike calls. That's crazy. I did not know he put. 1.5% still not that, but like that's still on a call. That's weird. That's a lot. I don't know, man. That's crazy. But I like Nike. I'm a big fan of Nike. That sucks. He probably got wiped out on those for a little bit. I feel bad. What if he sells out and we buy again? That's what we did with Netflix. This is literally, it looks just like when Netflix was dropping. Give him like 2 more weeks. He'll be out. That's what happened. We were right here when Bill Ackman, and then Bill Ackman quit. Like right here. There was one of these. So yeah, let Bill Ackman quit, and then we'll buy Nike. Maybe that'll be our diamond when he capitulates. That sucks, Bill. I'm sorry to hear. US 10-year at 3.9. More. Just as the Kobe meme. We need more. Bill Spackman? Wow. How offensive. This is already historical, man. Like I'm saying, that's the odd part. 15% in 3 days. This is not a move that you see typically. Again, COVID was the last time. The difference is, though, we don't have COVID. So, yeah. Yeah, well, Friday there was, again, those Vietnam names in that Vietnam deal. Again, the TSM deal, too. Taiwan, they dropped their tariffs, so maybe TSM goes up. There's a mix of, like, news and you have just sentiment very, very bad right now. So that is like our only, that's like our real risk right now when it's all said and done. So we'll see. Still a slow drip. Back-to-back 4 and the following day was +9. Yeah, but not like this, dude. Waking up down 5, 5, 5. But it's already coming back up again. So far, those Trump comments kind of caused the bottom and not even the reiteration. Market's taking it good. Everything's up. China's going to open up here in like an hour. Just under that. Under that or below. It's either 6 or 6:30. I don't know. I don't speak Chinese. So I'm just guessing. But either way. We will see.
And I said this momentum has been going now for some years with this new escalation, of course, being its climax. It
right,
will.
Let me go to the bathroom and let's see. Maybe we'll flip a coin.
For decades.
Flip a coin on if we stay or not. Sound good? Sound good.
Carmen, really great to have you
a lot
with
of
us.
Chads on a
Carmen
Sunday,
Reinhardt,
baby.
Professor at Harvard Kennedy School. A little bit later on, we're speaking to India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal following Trump's decision to enact 26% tariffs on India. He'll be joining us live from the India Global Forum in Mumbai. That's at 4 p.m. Hong Kong time for that conversation. Well, we have seen this haven trade play out when it comes to gold, but take a look at what we're seeing when it comes to other commodities as well as broader energy markets as well, given that we have seen that sell-off really taking hold in light of these concerns over the impact of Trump's tariff turmoil on global demand. We're all even actually seeing the haven appeal of gold that has driven spot gold prices to record highs really fading over the past week. And it really does show perhaps that investors are just taking profits where they can. The extended weakness that we're seeing at the moment, 1.6% softer, is perhaps a little bit counterintuitive given that it is still at haven play. But as our MLive bloggers suggest, we may be seeing cross-asset managers just needing to find whatever profits they can get to fill holes in equity portfolios. When it comes to copper as that sort of growth proxy and China proxy, that is pretty clear there. The bull run just turning into a rout as the reality of tariffs really starts to hit there. Just 2 weeks ago, we had copper prices surging as we thought that US tariffs threatened at that point would squeeze global supplies. Now we're seeing one of the worst ever sell-offs for this market. And taking a look at oil as well, we're off by 3.5% there as crude markets
That's what's going to happen to cars.
With these global trade risks, Sherry.
So they're like, copper's going to get tariffed.
Continue to see the reaction
then they jacked up the price of copper.
Vietnam
and then now it has its
offered to
day.
remove all tariffs on U.S. imports.
I'm hungry, bro. That's why I'm like, wait a minute, man.
46% levy on the Southeast Asian nation. In a letter seen by Bloomberg, Vietnam's Communist Party chief To Lam also asked Trump to postpone the implementation of the tariff by at least 45 days. Meanwhile, Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim says his country will lead efforts to coordinate a regional response in Southeast Asia toward Trump's tariffs. He adds efforts are already underway to engage the U.S. to find a mutually acceptable solution. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will meet President Trump on Monday to discuss tariffs and other issues. Netanyahu will be the first world leader to meet Trump since his latest tariff announcements. An Israeli official said that while tariffs prompted the meeting, the two leaders will also discuss Gaza, the role of Turkey in Syria,
Israel.
and
Netanyahu is
shared
coming to the
concerns
US.
over Iran. Iran has responded to a letter from Trump demanding a new nuclear agreement by warning against any military aggression while committing to regional peace. Iran's supreme leader said it's pursuing a civilian nuclear program, not weapons, and will respond to any threats with full force. The response adds Iran won't hold direct talks with Trump, but is willing to pursue indirect communication. We have more ahead on the Asia trade. This is Bloomberg.
Wow. Bum, ba-bum, ba-bum, bum. All right, man. Well, you kind of bounced a little bit off the Trump comments. Not bad. I was just eating a snack. I was using that. We'll chill for a little bit, I guess. I might go in a little, but we'll see. I think it's, I don't know. I think just surprise me. You know, I want to go to bed, wake up, Christmas or not. Netanyahu to meet with Comsec, Lutnick, and Greer today. Today? All right. Well, you might hear from Lutnick is going to meet with Israel. I feel like they're all doing something right now. Everybody is working today. It's very weird. That's what I noticed. Like, I'm telling you, all the news stations are working. You got meetings going on. EV targets watered down to help tariff hit UK car industry. EV targets was Financial Times. Very weird. No, but like everybody's working. That's what I'm saying. You got full. They took it off. They had like the morning Bloomberg people. They were doing a segment right when futures open. They usually don't do that. Usually it's this Asian trade. But then again, like I'm saying, you're having all these other meetings. NASDAQ sell over 5, S&P more than 3. Yeah, so articles already coming out. It's going to be wild. It is going to be a very, very wild market week. No matter what, you're going to have to work your way through, again, all these events, tariffs, all that good stuff. And then, again, the negotiations and everything going slow. All right, let's see. I'm going to finish my snack. Please hold.
Now traded limit down. Of course, we had seen losses of more than 9% for those Nikkei futures as the Nikkei already closed
Japan
at the
opens in 12 minutes.
August. We're talking about 4%
Nikkei futures halted limit down
from that bear market entry from its December high at this point, while the topic's already entered a technical correction at a time when the Japanese yen continues to strengthen against the US dollar. You can see upside of more than 1% at the moment at that 145 level against the greenback. President Trump's 25% tariffs on imported cars also taking effect last week. Of course, that reverberated in the Japanese markets around the world as well. We're watching those car makers closely. Nissan had decided to stop selling a pair of Mexican-built Infiniti SUVs in the U.S. market, while Toyota is cutting overtime at a factory in Mexico. Joining us now is Christopher Richter, Senior Research Analyst at CLSA, who covers Japanese autos. Christopher, great to have you with us. So who are the most exposed and vulnerable at this point among Japanese automakers?
The ones that are most
People
exposed,
Daily, China
really
signals
heavy,
readiness amid trade war with China. Room to cut interest rates. People Daily. Comments on U.S. tariffs. China could introduce monetary tools at any time.
Nikkei wrote last week that Mazda could see.
China can introduce monetary policy tools at any time. China takes gloves off in trade war with U.S. China's stimulus may limit tariff damage on stocks. When OpenAI explores $500 million acquisition of Joni Ive and Sam Altman's AI device startup. The information. Headlines, baby. Look at that. Circuit breaker triggered for Topix futures. That's India, I believe.
In the U.S. and it will. And that,
two
and
two countries have circuit breakers already.
Is that demand is going
not
to
the
get
U.S.
lower in the U.S.
So I don't know, man. Is every Nikkei futures halted? Topix futures halted. Japan opens in 12 minutes.
Classic definition of stagflation. So it's bad news all around. I think makers like Toyota, Honda, at least their exposures to imports, including components, are not that terribly different than the Detroit makers. So, so I think they will be better positioned. But it's really these ones who import most of their product that are in a bad place.
What about the fact that we are still waiting to see what's going to happen to auto parts, especially when it comes to U.S. tariffs, and how exposed some of these car makers would be depending on those components?
Yeah, I think it's almost certain, given what the Trump administration has already done. The tariffs on the parts are coming. They've said, May 3rd is the date for that. And it makes sense if you want to pull production back to the U.S., you've got to tax components. Otherwise, then makers say, well, okay, we'll just import a lot of parts and move the final assembly to the U.S. And Trump has already made comments that he's on to that kind of thinking, complaining about knockdown production. So, I'm pretty sure that components are going to see taxes as well.
Is there meaningful alternatives in terms of other markets that these?
Oh, they were. I thought they were showing Ferraris. It was a Toyota. Wow. Well, Chad, Hector's still running a Honda Civic. I know, isn't that crazy? I love you. God bless you. That's it. I'm done. That's it. Go to bed. Get ready for tomorrow. You're gonna get comments. That's it. I'm going bonds and a couple more. So God bless you. God bless America. That's it. That's it. Get rest. You're going to need it tomorrow. Yeah, that's it. You could get a little bit of action here. I think in the wee hours while we're sleeping, there'll be the final move. Follow me on Twitter if anything happens. I'll go back live if anything crazy happens. So in the meantime, though, thank you for being here. God bless America. Shout out to the chat, baby. If we limit down, you'll hear me. You'll just imagine my voice. I hope it doesn't happen in sleepy hours, but we'll see. I'm sure by the morning we'll have a lot more. So watch the watch list. I still think it's very relevant. If you haven't checked that out, second link. Have a good night's sleep. Get some rest. You're blessed, baby. Oh, yeah. I'll just TLT. That's it. I love you. Finger to the sky. Look at TLT. Right when I go, it's going to rip. I'll tell you. I have to go. I gotta go. If you gotta go, you gotta go. Finger to the sky, baby. God bless you, Chad. Have a wonderful evening. What a great Sunday night. And peace out. Horna.